Hello everyone, on behalf of the Mindalia TV team, welcome to Mindalia live streaming, where thousands of people around the world gather daily to see the lectures and interviews organized by Mindalia TV. We have the great pleasure of having again Dan Blanchard. Dan is an award-winning and a best-selling author, a speaker and an educator, and he's going to be having a very interesting conversation with Mistie Layne. Mistie is also a best-selling author. She is a keynote speaker, a life shifter, and an event host. But before starting with them and their very important conversation, we want to remind you that Mindalia's mission is to share information that can help raise the level of consciousness in the planet, and that you can help us by subscribing to our channel, leaving us a positive comment on this video, or sharing with someone that you know that can benefit of the content that we're going to be talking here today. Also, when we are live streaming, we have an active chat. It's the screen you're going to see on my side or under the video. We invite you to communicate with us through there. And finally, we want to invite you to like not only this channel, but our Spanish channel, Mindalia Televisión, and our Portuguese channel, Mindalia Televisao. Through there, you're going to be able to see interesting content as the one that you're already used to seeing in Mindalia TV. Let's not delay this any further, and I have the great pleasure of leaving you with Dan Blanchard and Mistie Layne. Guys, welcome to Mindalia. The screen is yours.
Thank you, Amanda. It's so wonderful to be back with you and with all the wonderful Mindalia TV fans. And I'm telling you, I can't wait till the Mindalia TV fans get to know my friend, Mistie Layne, all the way from Texas. See, Mistie has a warm spot in my heart. Right? She's my kind of girl. She didn't grow up with a silver spoon in her mouth. You know what I'm saying? She had to go through some tough times. And after all that, I mean, she didn't go and hide. She tries to be transparent, tries to be who she is. And I always say everybody should do that. Everybody should be transparent, try to be who they are, and not try to be a phony version of somebody else or a phony version of something else. So I don't know what it is, but they're trying to be, but you just shouldn't do it. You know what I'm saying? But too many people do that. And it's like, no, you don't got to do that. Just be like Mistie. You know what I'm saying? She's all about transparency. And Mistie's ran into a few bumps in the road along the way, like humans are supposed to. And Mistie picked herself up when, you know, lesser people wouldn't have been able to pick themselves up. And next thing you know, my friend Mistie is a best-selling author. She's a keynote speaker. She's the founder of a transparency movement. This it was a top 25 finalist. And then for the next Impactor, right? There was just this last August in Chicago. Mistie ends up taking third in the world. Wow! Yay! All right, Mistie, welcome to the show. Please help the audience figure out a little bit more about who you are, some of the stuff I might have left out, or something you can elaborate on. And you definitely got to talk about this third in the world. Who the heck gets to be third in the world? Not many people, but Mistie does.
It's an honor. Thank you for having me, Dan. I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
So, Mistie Layne, man, I tell you what I say now is I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor. I've taken adversity and learned that I couldn't let it rob my past, rob my future. Once I figured that out, I decided to take all the life experiences I'd gone through and use them to educate others so that we can all start judging less and mentoring more. That's why I believe in transparency.
I love what you just said about not letting the past rob your future. One of the things, like I used to read a lot of Tony Robbins books, and you know, especially back like in the let's say the 90s, and he was really, really big back then. And he always said, like, your past doesn't define you. Your past isn't who you are. Your past isn't your future. No, he used to always say that stuff, which I was like, thank God, because my past wasn't that good. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, I'm so glad Tony Robbins is saying that and giving me some hope. So, Mistie, your past definitely didn't rob your future, didn't define you. You know what I'm saying? And could you share a little bit with some of those ups and downs you had in your past? I know you had, you know, you didn't have an easy life. So, and I think you give hope to people out there that don't have easy lives.
Well, I had an easy life growing up. You know, my decisions, I didn't respect my moments of choice. And those choices became a lifetime of my decisions, which put me down that hard road. So it was a choice I made when I had a fork, and I chose, you know, I chose poorly.
Hey, Right? That's how it goes.
That's how it goes. And that's the way life is. And I believe it's what we do after we pick ourselves up. It's what we do with the information that really matters in the world. We need to use it to educate. We can't sit on it. We can't dwell. We have to use what we've been through to educate others, because now that's just priceless knowledge. And that's what we're here to do, is help each other, lift each other up. So, but I started out, I had a pretty good childhood. I thought the perfect childhood. Later on, I realized there were some things there, but as kids, you don't look at that. I married my college sweetheart. I had plans of being a surgeon since I was little bitty. I came from a pretty medical family, and I had my sight on that. I was working that plan. I've been married for about 10 years. I had 2 daughters. I had just gotten accepted into medical school. All my dreams were coming true. And I found out my husband at 10 years had another woman pregnant. And it just devastated me. It just broke my heart. So, I'm really careful. And I want to say, I don't blame anyone else for the choices I made. I made the choices I made. Yes, it put me in a vulnerable place. Yes, I got depressed from it, but he didn't cause me to do what I did further down the road. Okay, I want to make accountability is very important. So,
and I think that's very important, Misty, that you're saying accountability is important and you made these choices. And here's the deal: a lot of us make bad choices all the time and get away with it. So, for instance, like this last weekend, I met up with some of my old buddies from high school, and I was talking to some of my buddies. I said, "Hey, remember that time we were at the Grand Canyon and I was walking on the rim? I was up on the wall down, and Greg was like, get down. And I was like, and I jumped down, and later on I found out 9 people a year get blown into the Grand Canyon. And I'm like, that was a dumb choice. And I got away with it. You know?
Got away with it.
And then we went over a couple others, all of us guys growing up, of dumb choices that we made, and we got away with it. But the thing is, you don't always get away with it. Sooner or later, a dumb choice catches you. And that's just how it is.
That is how it is. Yeah.
So your husband is having a baby with another woman. That must have been devastating. But I mean, that kind of seems like his bad choice. So what are you getting at when you're saying like your bad choice?
Because of the actions that come next. We divorced. I went into a pretty deep depression. I took a deferment from medical school because I had 2 little babies to raise. He had left the state with this other woman. So I was pretty much going at it alone. I had already gotten, sir?
That's tough.
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, but I'm blessed from it. I've grown from it and learned from it. So I'm good. So at 31 years old, I started dating a guy. And for the first time in my life, on the way to a Dallas Cowboys football game, he introduced me to a line of cocaine. And for the first time in my life, I said, what the heck? I did everything right, and this is where it got me. So now I'm going to try. I wanted to be bad. I wanted to mess up. Because growing up in the Texas beauty pageant system, my whole life, I had that whole perfectionism thing going. So when he cheated, I internalized and thought, well, it must be my fault. Something's wrong with me. I wasn't good enough, so he cheated on me.
Yeah.
So,
we used to have that old saying, the good guy finishes last, the good gal finishes last.
Yeah.
So what the heck? Let's try something else, right?
That's right. So I was just looking for validation from anybody or anything, so I tried my first line of cocaine, educated woman, mother of 2, and it took me down. It took me down hard and fast. It put me in a place mentally where all the stuff in the past didn't matter to me.
How old are you at this point? How old are you at this point?
31.
So 31, doing your first line of cocaine and your first time venturing on the bad side.
Right. And I had been hit by a drunk driver when I was 15. So I was that pretty anti-drugs and alcohol. I was that goody girl, in high school. I wasn't a party girl. So this was pretty devastating for my family to see this flip side of me, because and also not being raised in a family or been around the drugs. I was very naive. I was uneducated to what I was signing up for. And that's my big push today, is to educate. If you want to go get high at a party, when I'm done with you, you're going to know what you're signing up for, because it doesn't play.
Wow.
Addiction doesn't matter. It doesn't care if you're educated, what neighborhood you come from, what color you are, what race you are, what male, female. It doesn't matter. You open the door, it's going to come in. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. You're going to know what you signed up for.
That's
That's
right.
awesome, Misty.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You didn't know.
So
You didn't know at that time
that
what you were signing up for.
I didn't. And that addiction turned into a crack cocaine addiction, which is just horrific. It took me places. I had gotten my nuclear medicine degree prior to getting into medical school, so I still had a career. Thankfully, was able to still make money and do things. But like with any kind of addiction, it is a progressive disease. It's a progressive addiction, and things will always get worse down the line. So for a while, I could handle it. I could work. I could manage my kids, my family. I hid it from everybody. But,
Yep.
with time, you need more of it. You do anything, So, I did horrible things that I thought I'd never do. I have my book, What Goes Up. There's actually a chapter called Never Say Never, because you just don't know. You can't judge people because you don't know till you're there.
Yeah.
You just don't know. And so I just found myself doing all the things I thought I'd never do. And it was, it was devastating. And I went to rehab for the first time, and actually the people in rehab didn't even believe me. They thought I was some rich white girl that just wanted attention. They checked my fingers to make sure I had like all the markings of a crack addict that has, the little roughed fingers, the cigarette lighter burns on the finger. And they just didn't believe me, and it was like it was a double-edged sword, because I didn't look the part. I would get away with anything. I could write hot checks, use stolen credit cards. I could do anything, and I was never suspected of it. But all that allowed was for me to dig a deeper hole for myself legally, and it all came crumbling down one day. So
it's almost like you had two personalities at the time. You had like this functioning, responsible, go to work every day, make some money. You had the look of a very respectable person. And then there was that other like personality, that other side of that bad, that girl that wanted to see what was the other side was like. And it just totally went bad, totally went wrong, totally went sideways. And you find yourself in a rut, just digging yourself deeper and deeper into like a grave.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
It is, yeah. And I wanted to get better. I tried. I did pretty much everything. I made deals with God. I begged. I bartered. I put myself in and out of rehabs. I did everything I knew to do. And all that will lead up to, in my story, how I ended up stopping. But along this journey of the crack addiction, I fell in love with my drug dealer.
Oh boy, that doesn't sound good.
Great choice. Another great choice, right? So he is actually the father of my 19-year-old son. They don't really have a relationship. He's turned his life around. He's tried to reach out to my son, but at this time, Austin just doesn't really care to be around him. But my son is also a motivational speaker. He speaks about how, when he was born, his mom was in prison. His dad, was a drug dealer. He was in and out of prison. And Austin believes, he makes his own destiny. He doesn't have to be what his culture he grew up in dictated him to be. He's anti-drug. I mean, he's very, very clear driven of what he's going to do in life. And he doesn't let any of that set him back. So I'm really proud of that.
That is so awesome. Please tell Austin I said, way to go, kiddo.
I will.
Awesome.
So
he's only 19?
He's 19. He's a freshman in college.
19.
Yeah, he's
what
19.
An amazing young man.
Yeah. He's a freshman in college studying to be a surgeon right now. So I'm really proud of him.
Amazing.
Yeah. So I have 3 wonderful kids. But so his dad, the drug dealer, he that was my first experience with domestic abuse. He, gave me my first eye, and a black eye, and broke my nose, and I was devastated. And the strong, confident beauty queen that I used to be, that had all the respect in the world from people, had lost all respect for myself and allowed this to go on. What would happen is he would hit me. I would kick him out, the right thing to do, be in severe pain, and he knew it. So he would come back with the drugs, which he knew would kill the pain, and that would be his way back in the door. So it was like this cycle. He used cocaine on me. They use any insecurity we have. Our abusers will find and prey on every insecurity. So
Yeah.
it's not that easy. I used to judge those women with black eyes. I used to think they were weak, or don't they know what love is? Why don't they just leave? How stupid. Or the alcoholic. Well, just don't drink the beer in the refrigerator. How hard is it? Until it
Yeah.
happens, it's
Yeah.
not that easy. It's just not.
No,
So
you're right. It's not that easy. And Misty, every one of us are vulnerable, in some way to something.
yeah.
Every one of us are human. Every one of us are vulnerable. Every one of us has like a psychology that backs us up, that
Mhm.
makes us vulnerable to whether it's things or people. And there's people out there that are very, very talented, at finding your
Yeah.
buttons to push.
Oh yeah. They're skilled at it. They're master manipulators.
And we
Master
just,
manipulators.
yeah, and I think the rest of us, or most of us, we just gotta pray they don't ever find us,
That's
because
right.
next thing you know, the shoe's on the other foot, baby.
That's right. Don't judge. Don't
Don't
judge.
judge. Yeah, don't
Mhm.
judge. Shoes on the other foot.
Yeah. So this relationship was very toxic. It went on for a long time, in and out of jail, doing different things. It all came to a head when we both had gotten arrested. They actually came to our door, knocked the door down, took us both in for a forged check I had written at a casino. And my parents bonded me out, and he stayed in. He had a hold in another state, so he went away for a while. That gave me the physical separation from him. When I got out, I went back to using again, and was in the wrong neighborhood at the wrong time, doing the wrong things. I was attacked and robbed, and they were trying to steal my car. So I flipped my car around. I was in a town I didn't know. So I hit the gas to get back out the only road I knew, the way I knew in. And they threw a brick at my car. I swerved. I started sliding down the road sideways. I hit a car parked in a driveway. There was a lady standing in her yard. The parked vehicle hit her, knocked her into the house, and it killed her. So, yeah, I
It's
woke
so,
up. Yeah, so
like,
I woke up.
you didn't try to do that. You didn't try to do that. You were just trying to
um,
save yourself. You're trying to get
I
away.
didn't start September 18th of 2007 and say I'm going to go kill someone, Dan. But you
No.
never know what's around the corner, and
Yeah.
you have to live life every day
Yeah.
to your fullest and be the best version you can, because you just don't know.
Yeah.
And when I
My
woke up,
wife has a famous saying that she says to me and our children. She says, "That's why it's called an accident." You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? You're
yeah,
not planning for it to happen with about, and I do that a lot. Like I tell my wife, don't worry, I got this. And my wife's like, that's why it's called an accident. She's like, you got to be careful. You don't know. Accidents happen. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing you can do about it. Accidents happen.
the hardest thing is people don't understand when you've caused a death, whether in an accidental situation, it's really hard to be the one left behind. It's really hard to live with that guilt every day. And I've never been suicidal, but I tell you, have felt guilty with every single breath. I didn't know if I wanted to live. I didn't know how to live without the cocaine, and I didn't feel deep down I deserved to live. So if this was my rock bottom, this was the absolute hardest place I've ever been, when I woke up and was facing a 40-year prison sentence. I mean, here I was in medical school studying to be a surgeon, and now I'm facing 40 years. It's like, how did I get there? How did this happen
Yeah.
to me? Where was I in all that? I was so lost in
Mhm.
all of it. Just so lost. It just took me so hard. And
That's what I call a punch in the gut.
yeah, yeah. Well, I have 3 children, and my oldest daughter, Lauren, I had just missed her high school graduation because I was incarcerated. Of course, my kids have always loved me through all of my faults, all of my mess ups. I've done some
Yeah.
horrific things, but they've been there. And she wrote me a letter, and she said, Mama, you have to forgive yourself. You have to let it go. Write
Yep.
everything down that's haunting you and pray on it and let it go, because it was an accident. So I took my daughter's advice, who's now parenting me, and I
Yep.
did it. And it released such a wall of shame and guilt that it allowed me to look inside enough to see I need some help,
Yeah.
because during my addiction I had abortions. I'd
Mhm.
never grieved. I never processed. I just took another hit, went on like it was nothing. I never dealt with it, and I was hurting.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I never dealt with the abuse. I never dealt with the cheating, the adultery, and I was hurting inside.
Sure.
So I'd just been shoving it down with little Debbie cakes, crack cocaine, whatever it was, and I realized that work needed to be done. And so what I chose to do, which is what saved my life, Dan, is I started writing my story. And in jail, we don't have computers, so I used a pen and paper. It took 7 months, and I wrote my story, and it saved me. And
it was very therapeutic, huh?
Very. And the prosecutor got wind of it, and my prosecutor, which is unheard of, came to see me, and he flipped through some pages. He got to know me, spent a couple hours with me, and he said, "This isn't you. You don't belong here." And I said, "Yes, I do. I've killed somebody. I definitely belong here." He said, "This isn't your life. What's happened?" He said, "I'm going to get you some help." So he went back to the judge. They were able to reduce my sentence to negligent homicide, which is accidental. So the sentence went from a 40-year vehicular homicide to a 5-year negligent homicide. So that saved my already existing medical license, because now it's a nonviolent crime.
Yeah.
So now that saved my career.
I just got goosebumps thinking that the prosecutor, was wise enough to come and say, "I'm going to look a little deeper into the story because it's not adding up." It
was God. It was God. I just believe in my heart it's been God the whole time. I believe I was chosen a long time ago for this journey, because I am strong. I always was that strong person. I just needed to live through it. Today, I have so much empathy and compassion that I never would have had before. And I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for it.
Yep.
And
so Mistie, was the prosecutor the spark that started turning everything around for you? Or was it the experience of being in jail? I mean, if you got more of the story, please go for it. But at some point, tell us where the turning point was when you get to it.
Okay. So I got out of prison. I had written a book. I didn't do anything with it for 12 years because I was too scared. I was fearful of the judgment. I had created a new set of friends, a new life with my nuclear medicine degree. I did not go back to medical school, but I was thankful I had that career still. I didn't want those people to know that other Mistie, so I was too scared to tell the truth.
Yeah.
So, as I mentioned before, the wreck happened on September 18th. That's also the same day I had married my first husband, September 18th. Now my daughter, the same daughter, tells me she's pregnant with my first grandbaby, due September 18th.
Good.
So, yeah. Well, there was an issue with Eliana coming through the birth canal, and she had a oxygen deprivation, which has left her severely brain damaged. She's blind and deaf. She can't suck or cry. She has a feeding tube. She has a lot of issues. And for the first couple of weeks of her life, Dan, I really honestly blamed myself. I thought that was my punishment. I thought I caused it.
I get that.
Because it was the same date, September 18th. Yeah. I mean, that couldn't have been a coincidence, right?
Yeah, I get that. I get that.
That's when I turned it around and I stopped myself and I said, okay, you have this disconnect with this beautiful baby because you feel guilty. And I said, how many other people out there letting their past do this to them? And I realized I was strong. When I was in rehab, they said only 3% of us would make it to the other side of addiction. And I was standing there a 3%er, and I didn't even realize it, So I started noticing my strengths. I started realizing God doesn't love that way. So I took that book that I wrote in jail, which was written in a dark place, full of anger, full of blame. I rewrote it from a place of forgiveness and accountability, and I turned it around. And that's when I decided people need to know the truth. I need to be transparent. I need to show what I've been through, regardless, because it doesn't matter if someone judges me. I just tell them, get out of the way, judge me from the corner because somebody behind you needs this message. Get out, move on.
I love that.
Get out of the way. Because I don't care anymore, because I had to learn. And as a new speaker, when you're first coming onto the scene, how you think, how can it not be about me? It's my story. But you have to learn it's not about you. So if people want to judge me, I don't care. It's about the message and what we're trying to get and how it relates to the person in the audience. So I was taught by my mentor, who is Jason Cisneros. He showed me how to be transparent. So once I learned that, it made it all okay. Now I didn't care what I said because it is who I am. I had to learn to love me in this skin with all those mistakes. And so that's what was keeping me so down, was I didn't love myself. I was beating myself up. I didn't forgive myself.
Yeah.
That's the biggest part of it, is you can forgive other people, but until you forgive yourself too, Dan, you
Yeah.
can't move forward.
You can't do great things. You can't do great things for other people.
Right. So that was my turning point right there. So I decided just to get out and start sharing. My book made bestseller. I've been speaking, doing some coaching, I call it life shifting. And, I have my first event coming up in San Diego sometime in February. I don't have the date pinned down yet, but it's going to be the Raw and Real Retreat. It's a women's only intimate 3-day retreat, ugly crying around a campfire kind of thing, just using writing.
Yeah.
Just using writing to kind of show you how you can discover yourself. Before and after pictures, art therapy, just music therapy, energy work. It's just going to be a great, great thing. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. That's the direction I'm in. And I know I don't want time to get away from us. I have to say 2 quick things. There's 2 twists to this story, which is why I said that this is definitely, I felt I was chosen for this before. I had my jail cell opened up in the middle of the night. A lady came in crying. I gave her some food. I gave her a t-shirt to wear. I sat up listening to her cry about how her lover had been killed. Her lover had cancer, but she had been suicidal. She was married to a woman. She had been suicidal, but she missed her, but at the same time, she was glad she wasn't suffering anymore.
Okay.
So the next morning, we go out into the general population where all the other women are. They start pointing at us. We look at each other like, am I supposed to fight you? Who are you? And they holler out, that's the lady that killed your wife. She looked at me. She said, you're the one that killed her? And I said, she had cancer? Because to me, I felt like I didn't deserve to live. Okay. Knowing the way I was raised and brought up in Christianity is if you commit suicide, your soul doesn't go to heaven. So I told myself, you just saved her soul because she was suicidal. She'd already tried to kill herself. You just saved her soul by taking her life. And in turn, she just saved my life. And so that was the thread that Misty had every morning to wake up and build on. That was the positive I could find in it.
What are the chances that woman would be put in your cell and the 2 of you would have that conversation? I mean, that's like a gazillion to 1.
She was never supposed to be in there. There was a conflict. She was never supposed to be allowed in that same unit with me.
Yeah.
To see the fact she came in the middle of the night, there was nobody awake to tell her who I was. So she didn't know. So there was no prejudgment. We just spoke with 2 women that night. And so the word on the street was that I had run her down and killed her over a drug deal. I never saw her sit in the yard. I didn't know her. I couldn't have stopped my car anyway. So she got to learn and got closure that it was just an accident. See, so it was a beautiful, beautiful thing. And then the second twist that I always talk about is my grandbaby being born on the same day. And how that opened my eyes to realizing all of us are carrying that baggage around, and it's preventing us from being the best version we can in the future. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
What's a great story. And I'm thinking, it certainly sounds like there's greater forces at work here to put that woman in your cell. The 2 of you have no idea who you are, each other are, and you have just a heart-to-heart woman talk. And then, for your granddaughter to be born on that certain date of the 3rd time that date came up. It just seems that there's greater forces at work here, and that you really were meant to be put in this position. You know what I'm saying? You definitely were, Misty. I mean, there's something magical about your story. And as you're telling it, like I'm looking at it, I'm looking at you, I'm listening to you, and you're going through it, and it's just like it doesn't add up. It totally does. Like, that's not you, but it's you, but it's not you, but it's you. It's like it doesn't add up. But when you look at the big picture, there's definitely like greater forces at work here that put you where you are today, right? Exactly where you're supposed to be. And your 19-year-old son, together you guys are doing some great, great things out there. So why don't we get to that? You're a best-selling author, keynote speaker, the next impactor. I mean, you talk about some of that stuff. I mean, you get the fire under you, and you just went, right?
I'm gonna say this. Like I said in the beginning of the interview, it's what we choose to do with our adversity that really makes the difference. I chose to pull myself up. I chose to look up, and God was reaching out to me. I chose to grab back, and realized that I had purpose, and when you see and find your purpose, you see the world completely differently. I had to train my brain, and we're so geared to looking at the negativity. I had to train myself to find the positive first, because we want to jump straight to the negative. So I had to find a way to learn to look at the positive in every situation. Now, no matter how horrific it is, there's something good that's going to come from it if you allow it to. So I realized all that crap that I drug my kids through for 10 years, all the hurt I caused them, all the pain, all the things they went through, it has made them strong, independent, and resilient. My oldest daughter, we didn't know Eliana was coming. We didn't know that was her future. But by gosh, she's the strongest woman I know, and she can handle that because she was made to be strong, because she had to live through some tough times. My second daughter, Amber, that I hadn't gotten to mention yet, that child is resilient. Let me tell you, she's getting her PhD in nurse anesthetist. In May, she graduates doing anesthesia. I mean, she just never gives up. And then my son, Austin, I mean, look at him. He's never even had a dad. He grew up with two grandpas as a dad. And then one of them's already passed away. And, he's just decided not to let it define him.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's a result, I believe, from hard times and learning lessons, not just living the hard time, but learning from them.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you, Mistie, you were a great example to your kids as the comeback kid. You know what I'm saying? Your kids grew up watching you make that amazing comeback. I mean, I think maybe Joe Osteen says this, is our creator, he gives us setups for comebacks or something like that. And I forget exactly how he says it, but it's something like it's a setup for a comeback, so instead of being just finished, or beaten, it's just like a little setup for a comeback. What it is. And you were a great example to your kids.
Well, it wasn't easy.
It doesn't surprise me that they're resilient, that they're successful. That doesn't surprise me at all when people know your whole story. They're going to be like, well, yeah, that kind of makes sense that their kids are successful like that and out there making a difference in the world. Well, not so. I know you did this, you do a lot of transparency stuff, which is awesome. I love that. This is who I am. I've got kicked around. I've made mistakes. So what if you've been kicked around? So what if you've made mistakes? Just follow my example. Follow the comeback kid. Just that. I think you took third in the world as the next impactor. What is that? Most people are going to say, what is that? How'd you do that? I mean, what happens next? Can you help us out a little bit with that?
The next impactor is a competition. It was a 9-month-long competition where you take people with a message that want to get out and make a difference in the world to help ease some suffering. So you have humanitarians, you have just all kinds of people out there, philanthropists, and we had projects that we worked on for months, and we were judged, and we had vetting processes we went through by our coaches that we were assigned to, and so much opportunity to learn and grow from 5 different coaches on the whole panel. And it came down to the top 25, and then we were all out pushing for a mission, and I had a nonprofit called Disabled But Not Really that I was pushing for, that my team pushed for, and I raised personally myself over $4,000 by myself for just that nonprofit in this process.
Nice.
And and so my whole thing out there was I started a movement called Be That One, Transparency, because I encourage others to be that one and step up, share your truth in raw honesty, because when you do that, you're going to educate other people. And that's when we can start to judge less and mentor more. I believe that transparency is necessary in all walks. In your business, it's necessary. It's necessary in your families. I mean, imagine, Dan, imagine a world. Seriously, just sit back and think about this. Imagine a world where a teenage girl can go home and tell her parents she's pregnant instead of running to an abortion clinic. Because instead of them scolding her and judging her, the mom can say, you know what, honey? That happened to me too, but you know what? We can get through this together. Yeah. Imagine that.
Yeah, I just got goosebumps because that's the way it should be. It was funny. My students asked me about that, and they said, "Mister, if your daughters," so I got 4 daughters. They're like, if they ever come home pregnant, are you going to kill them? And I'm like, absolutely not. I'm not going to kill them. Well, what if your son comes home drunk? You're going to kill him? No, not going to kill him. I want them to come home to me. No matter what happens.
That's the main thing.
and we'll figure it out. And you know what, Misty? My kids will. My kids will come home to me no matter what happens, just like yours will. So now imagine if we spread that around the world. You got more and more parents that have that kind of relationship with their kids, where no matter what their kids do, they come home and they tell mom and dad about it, and they figure it out from there.
I think we will see a shift, Dan. I do believe that we will, because things are changing. I know my parents, I love them dearly. They have loved me through everything. I don't mean to say anything negative about them, but it is what it is. Their mentality back in the day was everything needed to look good when you're driving by through the outside of the window of the house. The house could be falling apart on the inside, but as long as it looked good from the outside looking in, everything was good. So with my parents, well, my mom in particularly it embarrasses her because she wants it to look perfect. She wants to present perfect to me. Well, so when I would go to her, when I got pregnant, before I got pregnant before I walked down the aisle of my wedding, we were engaged, but I got pregnant first. She scolded me. She gave me all kinds of grief because, that's not what she wanted for me. But that's not the way to handle things like that. You got to have an open communication instead of letting your kids, instead of trying to be that perfect role model and want your kids to live up to you, which will never, ever, ever live up to being perfect because we're not perfect. I believe, and I try to break that cycle with my children, is I am who I am. I'm not the best. I could always be better, but I want you to see what the failure looks like so you can be better. I don't pretend. My daughters know I've had abortions. They know how it felt. They know what it's done to me throughout my lifetime. And, they know what they need to do for it not to happen to them. Use protection. I mean, it's education. You got to use them as life lessons.
Yeah, they're living through your experiences, which is a great way for them to live because it's less painful for them.
Just being honest. I mean, if you can't go to your parents, I mean, that's the people on earth that love you more than anyone, and you should be able to go to your parents with anything. But see, with me, I'd get pregnant out there on drugs, and I would be scared to death to tell my parents I was pregnant because they, I didn't want to hear it. Instead of the support or the love or the we'll get through it, we'll help you. They didn't want to raise another kid. I'd already been run. There's two edges to it, but I mean, transparency is necessary. Even
here's the thing. Here's the thing, Misty. Right? We're family. Let's figure it out. We're family. We love each other. We're family. Let's figure it out.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Italian. Family's everything to me. I'm Italian, and I just believe at the end of the day, your family will be there when no one else will.
True. So true. So, Misty, I know that Mirna's getting ready to come back on and close us out. So something I haven't asked you yet, or some goal that's down the road that you're working on?
Well, I'd love to be a New York Times bestseller. My book is an Amazon bestseller, so I'd love for everyone to grab a copy of what goes up. It's in Walmart, Target. You can pretty much get it anywhere, but it is a very honest, raw read. I'll warn you ahead of time. I don't hold back anything. So if you want to know about addiction and domestic abuse, that's definitely the book to grab.
Wow, that's cool. And to be in Walmart and Target is huge.
Yeah,
it's like exciting. Really cool for you to be in there. Wow, that's cool. So everybody go grab that book, and you can learn a whole bunch from Misty's experiences, and it won't even hurt you.
That's right.
Hey, Mirna, welcome back.
Hey, guys. Well, thank you. I want to, first of all, thank you for allowing the Mindalia TV cameras being a channel for your ideas. But before we leave, the usual question, where can our audience find you, Misty?
It's really easy. Everything is Mistie Layne, MISTIELAYNE. My website is mistielayne.com. You can email me at mistielayne@mistielayne.com. All social media is Mistie Layne as well.
Thank you. How about you, Mr. Dan?
Hey, they can Google me at Dan Blanchard. They'll find me everywhere, or go to danblanchard.net or granddaddy6.com or any of the social media channels. I'm on all of them. Check out my YouTube channel. Please go to Amazon. Look up Dan Blanchard and Daniel Blanchard. You'll see different books under both of them. And, of course, Mindalia TV.
Well, thank you again. And having said this, there's nothing else to say for today. But Don't leave without liking, subscribing not only this channel but Mindalia Televisión for content in Spanish and Mindalia Televisao for content in Portuguese. We're sending you a very, very big hug, and until next time. Bye bye.
Thank you.